Hey everybody, we're up here at Allen's farm. Old Joe Spade and I decided to do a little carpooling. That's him taking off there on the 007 bike, the old XR200, one they made about 5 million of. And he's out here with old Ed Abdo. Them guys found each other on the track all day long, and I think they were tied. That's him going right there on 268. And I don't care how fast, or slow, or medium you are, if you find that guy out on the track that you just have a hard time getting around, or he has a hard time getting around you, it just makes that race so much better. I've said it a million times on here. And the track was starting to burn in pretty good. I'm going to have some footage coming up here of my on my helmet view. I'm going to include the best races first. I have two good races. I have one on the KTM and one on the Husky. The KTM's first. It was the better of the two races. And I know how you guys watch the races. Usually they'll hang around until about mid-video, and I can see it in the analytics, and then you kind of fade off on me. Some guys stick around until the end and watch it all, but on the motocross stuff, it's a lot of the same. And if you're into some good racing and stuff like that, that's why I just don't like to try to include the good stuff. You can see, look at that mud hole. Oh, that mud hole. Wait till you see what I do with it. Oh my God. Was not pretty, that's for sure. So, here we go. This is the first moto. It just got done raining after practice. All the experts are lined up on this line. And I get a heck of a hole shot. I was so pleased with myself, and the bike felt good. Around this second turn, I'm thinking, I got something for these boys. And everything's good. I'm trying to stay in the grass as much as I can. We did this in practice. It was a little slippery, and that's all she wrote right there. Everybody goes around me in a lot smarter position. Oh, that there sucked.
Monsters in between here and there somewhere. About a half a cup of coffee or
There's
so.
old Brian Ashcrafter up there just talking about how I got to go to work tonight. This is the first moto. Actually, it's the 10th moto, the first moto on the KTM, and I'm going to make this video really short. I get that whole shot and I keep it. All the way, take first place overall. I was happy as a lark with that, baby. Line them up one more time. This is the second moto with a KTM. This race is good, folks, let me just tell you. Now, as you can see, real estate was at a premium. The top 5 up here on this, I mean, it was so much different back in the pack trying to freaking fight your way up. That's why they say that start is just so stinking important. Now, keep with me here. I keep the lens cleaned off. But it takes everything I can do. When you jump in through this giant mud hole, that front end's grabbing a hold of you. Out into the 6-foot-high weeds you go. That's not the first time I tried to do it. I mean, it got a hold of me several different times out there. And I don't remember who it was. It was either Mike Brown or Corey Bennett. Both those two guys said they watched the videos. And it was great to meet up with folks that are out there watching the videos and liking stuff. They were down in the creek. You can see a picture of us at the very end of this video of their wife or girlfriend decided to take a picture of all of it. It was really cool. So, like I said, this is the second moto on the KTM. And I'm not sure how far out I am back, but I'm pretty far back. I'm in I'm gonna say I'm back to 5th or 6th place probably. And as you can tell, they kind of left the hay anywhere the course wasn't, they left it high. I like that. I mean, I think on other grass tracks that'd be a great idea. And then you don't got to use up so much ribbon to, keep everybody corralled in there. It was a lay of the land kind of course. I was here back probably 12 to 14 years ago, and enough times went by and I've gotten enough older that it just felt different than what I remember. But I'm sure it was a lot of the same track out here. And we watched one of the guys that Brian Ashcraft was telling me was an old pro out here earlier. He goes, watch him. He goes, he's gonna take that outside line. He goes, he's staying out of the main line. And this is back in the first set of motos when the track was really slick. And you could get traction in that grass. Well, by the second moto, there was just a light sprinkle that rolled through, and the main line had dried out quite a bit. Well, with it drying out, you could definitely get more traction in the grass, but the inside was enough that you could hold your own with it. You weren't losing any ground by going to the main line. I'm gonna pick up a 2-for-1 on that one, and I got 2 more guys in front of me, and this is where the race gets good. That dang mud and grass just grabbed a hold of my front end. I tried to stay back on the seat, let that front end float. It was all I could do to keep that thing from not turning right on me. Now I got a Suzuki up here with my number on it, and I am gonna try my best to get up there and see what I can do with this, because I had to worry about number 32. He was on a Kawasaki. He was in my class. I had to worry about the rest of the guys. I'm just racing to be racing them because they're in the same motos I am. All right, I'm finally starting to see the coattails of this young man. And he is no slouch. Loves to throw roost all over me. Number 47. I think I should have went for it just a little bit more right there. I got my best opportunity to that, or right in here, maybe powered up a little closer to him. He wasn't scared about anything out there for sure. He gets a little bit better traction out of that mud than what I did. There's a few places there though, I thought if I could have got around him on this lap, I might have had a shot at the leader. But woulda, coulda, you know how that goes. Now I was squaring that corner off, and that was working really well for me. I come in on that outside edge and just dock her in tight. I don't know if it was just the angle of the turn or what, but it worked really well for me. This mud puddle was pretty deep at first, dried completely out, everybody running through it. Now I try to sneak up around the outside here, stay in that grass as best I can. You can see I can close the gap up, and I'm just trying to grab any little piece of grass on the left-hand side here. Take a jump. See if I can push this up here, but he's gonna take me all the way to the outside there. I don't think he knew I was there, or if he did, he just did not want to relinquish that spot. He's got a cheerleader right there pushing him on, just cheering him on. Love it, love seeing that kind of stuff. We're gonna dive into this first turn again, back around, and I'm thinking I'm gonna slide in for the slide job here. But you know you gotta cross this back up to have any kind of entry point into the next turn. Traction was at a premium here for sure, and right here's where I lost the handle on it in the first moto. Getting ready to jump into this giant mud pit. He's just slinging stuff back at me like you wouldn't believe. That's nothing compared to the next lap, you'll see. It was kind of bumpy up through here. I tried jumping from one top to the next top instead of like getting down in the middle of them, and that worked for me in a lot of different places where you start to learn where the little bumps were at. You can jump from one jump over top of to the next instead of getting down in the bottom, which would slow you down a little bit more. I'll tell you, he's getting on the gas at the exact same time as I am. Plus, I'm trying to keep my camera lens clean, so I got something to show y'all folks, and it was not easy, let me tell you. You take your hand off the handlebar just for a split second, and you need it all right here, because you're flat tracking it around here, let me tell you. We're gonna head down back, we're at the top of the hill, heading back down over the hill. It's hard to see elevation change, just wasn't terrible by any means. But it was a lot of up and down and little bumps that you know when you're riding, but you have a hard time, unless you say something on the video to people to keep an eye out for. That little muddy section back there stayed muddy the whole day, and I struggled like crazy getting through there with any kind of consistency. And I didn't lose any ground on anybody, so I think everybody else was having the exact same problem. I wish there was a good way to find to get through that easier. It'd be a great place to capitalize on making some ground up for sure. Back down around. We got to be getting close to the last lap. There was 4 laps in each race, about a mile-long track. Wasn't really off camber, but it was nice and flat. And this outside line didn't do you any favors later in the motos. You'd lose ground coming up around there. And he's starting to catch a little bit of breathing room right there. I'm thinking I gotta get something going on. I'm gonna let her hang out here a little bit, coming down this straight stretch. Little zig, little zag. And just like that, I'm breathing his tailpipe again. I'm there. I gotta find a way to get it done if this is the last lap, which I can't even remember if I saw the white flag there or not. Getting ready to jump into this giant mud hole and just look at him splatter that mud. Oh my god, I couldn't hardly see through my goggles. I edited out just a little bit of an uphill there because it took me a second to get my goggles cleaned off, and then I had to get the camera lens cleaned off after that. First and foremost, I need to be able to see out of my goggles. The rest of the track was pretty darn good. There were just those few tiny little muddy spots, and as the day went on, they got better, and there I go. I'm gonna power around them on the outside. I'm gonna make that stick, folks. That felt good. Finally get around them. I got one more guy in front of me, so I'm gonna start out in the top 5 in this class, and I'm gonna end up finishing this moto second overall. I ended up getting 2 first place, with one with the Husky, one with the KTM. I felt pretty happy all day long with that. Racing up here with the boys in the Northeast is such a kind of a throwback for me. I used to race with these guys back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and used to travel all over the place. Used to come up here, used to go to Binghamton, Unadilla. We'd get down to North Carolina, Budds Creek, you name it. It was a fun series to race, and they still race a lot of those same races. And it's a little bit more laid-back atmosphere than what you got with the Mid-Atlantic. And it was a nice change of pace, that's for darn sure. I got that leader up in front of me, but there just ain't enough time left in the day to try to reel him in. Maybe another lap or so I'd be able to smell his tailpipe, but that's going to be about all she wrote there for this race. We're going to jump into the second moto of the Husky. And this is another good one. I like standing right beside that guy that pulls a pin. I'll just sit there and stare at that pin. When I think it's going to go, I can let that clutch out. And this is a race, folks. No more hole shot for me. I'm going to come out here in third place with the rest of these post-finish bikes. We're going to put a little rubber onto the dirt, let me tell you. I'm going to slide out to the outside. I do not have a problem running the outside line, trying to grab traction when I can out there. And they moved the course a little bit around that mud hole in the second moto, and this is the first moto. By the time I got to that 10th moto with the KTM, oh my god, it had gotten so much deeper in there. I don't know if a little bit of water creeped in there or not. Back up over the hill here. I'm sitting in 4th spot, thinking I got something for him with this old 390. It was running good. It felt great out there. One thing about this, I had the throttle where the cable wraps around where you grab a hold of. There's an adjustment screw for tension. Well, that tension screw got underneath my front brake. I had no front brake in this moto, so it was all rear brake for me. Every time I squeezed it in, I could only squeeze it in about an 1/8 inch, and I didn't know what was going on with it. I couldn't have any time during the race to really take a look at it. So anytime I had to really whoa up quick, I struggled because I couldn't use the front brake. I didn't have anything. Later on in the race, all I really had to do was reach up and twist it forward a little bit, get it out of the way, and then I was in good shape. All right, I'm going to get that position back off that Suzuki, and hopefully I can get a couple more back here. Like I said, I threw the better races up front in the video. It ain't in order of how we actually raced them. This one was first before the KTM, but in case y'all didn't want to sit through all that, I understand. These are some good races. If you enjoy vintage racing, this is about as good as it gets. Allen's Farm is a great place. It was 3.5 hours for us. It was well worth the ride, let me tell you. I ran about 8 pounds in the rear and about 8-9 pounds in the front on my tires on both bikes, and I felt like that was a good place to be. Especially when the track started to dry out. I didn't want it to be too flat, but I wanted it to be flat enough I could get a hold of whatever was down there to give me some good traction. Might have been able to drop a pound or two in the either tire on the front moto. Might have helped some of that spinning out process, hard to tell. I can hang with these guys. I would have liked to have seen, you know, that whole shot just makes all the difference in the world. You're out front with clean vision, run your own line, not having to worry about crossing it up to pass somebody. It just makes anybody that follows motocross knows how important that start is. That's for darn sure. Course looks pretty darn nice, let me tell you. There was a light rain shower that was going on right at the intermission there a little bit, and it didn't hurt the course at all. It just skirted around the outside of us and just put a little bit more moisture in the track and kept the dust down. It made for some good racing. I guess yesterday's this is Sunday. Saturday's cross-country race, everybody said was a good course, but it rained very hard during the race, and they said it was extremely muddy out there. It was the kind of mud that just fell in on itself. It wouldn't even stick to your fender. It just was like running right off like muddy water, which is good and bad if you ask me. I'd rather run in something like that than I would something that just stays into the ground and makes it a clingy kind of mud. I can't seem to close the gap on these guys at all. I'm gonna need a little help or a mistake or two from them. And that's one thing I did notice out there, like when you were running, it felt like you could make up big chunks of ground, and I honestly don't know if it was me doing so much better or going so much faster as much as it was the guy in front of me. Probably just missed a shift, slipped a little bit in the main line of the track, didn't get traction where he thought he was going to get traction, spun out a little bit more than what he wanted, and it was a seesaw, back and forth kind of thing going on. I bet a lot of guys that raced it would agree with me on that. But as you can tell, this was a high-speed, great laid-out course. The turns weren't too tight, in my opinion. I think everything was just darn near perfect. I just thoroughly enjoyed myself up here. We went over to Brian Ashcraft's camp over there, and they always have some good food cooking up at these Northeast. Old Merritt Brown brought over some sausages and some giant hot dogs with jalapenos in them, and there's Nathan hot dogs rolling around on top of the wood-fired barbecue pit there. Ate one of those Nathan hot dogs, and it just hit the spot. It was good. Tried to drink a bunch of water. There was probably about high 80s today, real high humidity. But when you're out on the track, you didn't notice it. It's just when you got off of it, you're like, holy crap, is this free? But when you were out there riding, it was nice. Well, folks, I think I'm gonna turn the mic off and let you listen to the sights and sounds of the old Husky ripping around here for a little bit, and I'll talk to you a little bit later on. You can keep watching this and seeing. I got it recorded clean to the very end of the race, and you can see how I make out, see if I catch that guy or not. Pretty sure I might. We'll see. But until the next video, we'll talk to you a little later on. We're going to be heading up to Shady Acres and Cross Forks. I'm not sure if I'll make Shady Acres, but I'm definitely planning on making Cross Forks. That'll be in the Mid-Atlantic series. New track for us. Looking forward to seeing some new stuff. That'll be fun. We got several new tracks on the schedule this year, and it's going to be fun to go to them and just see how everybody reacts to the new tracks and not being on them and seeing, it's fresh for everybody. I'll talk to you a little bit later on now. Keep an eye out for that last picture there, Corey Bennett and Mike Brown. You are the last slide in this video. Talk to y'all later.